Thank you very much indeed for joining us this afternoon for this webinar that's being joint hosted by Squiggle, myself and Kieran from Squiggle, and Victoria from the Care Workers charity. The webinar content this afternoon is called Why Make a Will. We'll crack on with the presentation. So if we could move on to the first slide, please, on the presentation. Thank you very much. So literally just a couple of bits of housekeeping. As I've said already, the webinar is being recorded this afternoon. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat facility. We will be taking notes of them and ask them at the end of the presentation. If you can stay on mute, that would be great. And if you are able to keep your cameras on, it would be really good so we can see who we're conversing with this afternoon. So just to introduce you to the three of us that are here. So you've got Kieran Osborne, who's the Managing Director of Squiggle, who's with us this afternoon. Also myself, Phil, who's the Business Manager for Squiggle, and Victoria from the Care Workers charity. The three of us will be hosting this afternoon's presentation. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. So it's now for me to hand over to Victoria, who's going to do a bit of an introduction about the Care Workers charity.
Hi everybody, really nice to be here. So for those of you that, some of you may well know a little bit about the Care Workers charity, but for those of you attending that don't, a very quick summary. So the Care Workers charity is as it says on the screen in front of us, a UK-wide charity that's supporting care workers. And we do that in four main ways. Kieran, if I could get you to flip the slide. Thank you. So these are the four main ways that we support. We signpost care workers who need some guidance, not quite sure where and what help is out there. We advocate for care workers, which I'll elaborate a bit more, as well as support with mental health. And probably one of our main focuses is grant giving. Thank you, Kieran. Which we give for care workers in crisis. Most common reasons that we support care workers are with daily living costs, energy, replacing white goods, washing machines, that kind of thing, getting cars back on the road. Certainly for domiciliary carers, that's incredibly important, and very sadly for funerary costs as well. One of the areas that we have really seen an increase in is supporting care workers with their mental well-being. Through COVID, as I guess you'll all appreciate, care workers suffered quite badly with their mental health well-being. So we support care workers with up to 10 hours worth of self-referred therapy sessions with a counsellor, and we also put care workers through the mental health first aid qualification, which is incredibly useful for themselves as well as those around them. And then the last thing that we do is advocate for care workers in four main priority ways. Improved pay, trying to ensure that they are obtaining the real living wage, if at all possible. Professionalising their career pathway through professionalisation through England. Helping to try and lobby government to gain full funding, and also improve the recognition of care workers in conjunction with their counterparts in the NHS. If you want to find out any more, feel free to scan the QR code that's on the screen right now, mail me, or visit our website. But there'll be plenty of opportunities throughout the webinar to ask questions. I'm more than happy to answer anything that you have. Thank you. Thanks, Kieran.
Thank you, Victoria. Okay, now I'm going to hand you over to Kieran to go through the content of this afternoon's presentation.
Thank you very much, Phil. Yes, my name is Kieran Osborne. I'm the Managing Director at Squiggle Consult, and we have a partnership with the Care Workers charity to help them and the carers with wills. So we're going to tell you a little bit about that, and of course the importance of writing a will. But who are we? We've been running for over 6 years and served over 6,000 clients in that period. We're supporting businesses such as John Lewis, Audi, Travis Perkins, but something that's really close to our heart is the charities that we support, and there's a few there mentioned on the screen already, of which the Care Workers charity is one of those really important charities. We're a team of experienced professionals with backgrounds in estate planning, financial planning, relationship management, and we even have some directors that have previously run organisations as well working for us. We are fully accredited with various voluntary organisations. We don't have to be, but it's something that I feel is very important to make sure that our estate planning is prepared in the very best way. So the Society of Will Writers, Institute of Paralegals, there is something called the Chartered Institute of Legal Executives and so forth. So we are a member of those different organisations there. What makes us different? One of the things when I started the company 6 years ago is I wanted to create some values that really resonated with our staff that we had. So these were actually prepared by our team when we launched, and ultimately it embodies what we are about. So for us, it's not just about producing shed loads of documents that are meaningless and very transactional. We really want to get to know the people that we're working with, our clients, their loved ones, their families. So a lot of the work that we do is very multi-generational. So working with those different people within a family. Attention to the little things. We want to make sure that every aspect is looked into, and of course keeping our promises. There's aspects of the planning that you trust in us to make sure that your family and your assets are looked after for the future. So that's where we want to do it. One of the things that I'm really push towards our consultants when they meet with your clients or yourselves is keeping things simple. Traditionally, the legal industry, I don't know about you, but when you come across solicitors, it's very jargony and quite overwhelming to a degree. So we want to keep things really, really simple and basic. Our solicitors back in the office or our legal team back in the office can make sure they're legally binding. And of course, there will be elements of legal jargon. But when we're sitting with you in the comfort of your living room or on Zoom, we want to try and keep things as simple as possible so everyone understands what they're trying to achieve from their planning. So moving on to kind of the importance of making a will. So we're going to go through a little bit about that. And there are two main things, or three main things, sorry, that makes a will important. So we're going to go through those. The first, and I believe the most important, is nothing to do with the money whatsoever. It's about the guardians of children. So anyone that is under 18 or potentially a vulnerable adult that has someone looking after them has a legal guardian. Okay, most children are given that guardian via a birth certificate, and that's known as what's called parental responsibility. So a mother and father usually have parental responsibility for their children. Grandparents, godparents, siblings, aunts, uncles have no right whatsoever for looking after those children. So when a parent passes away, that leaves no one as the person with a parental responsibility. And that's not just awarded to anyone. Unfortunately, it's quite a lengthy court process that needs to be followed. So therefore, for a period of time, there is children that could be put in care or foster homes whilst the court decides which of your family members or which of your friends is going to step forward and look after your children. So if you wanted to avoid that process and make sure that someone is there to step up if you were to pass away, it is in a will. Okay, that's the number one, in my opinion, the priority. Okay. The next is naming your trusted people. Some of our clients come to us and say, well, I don't have any assets. So Kieran, why do I need to do a will? This is one that's really important, I think, is who's just sorting stuff out. This week, actually, I spent some time in an elderly person's home that passed away, and they didn't have any family. So unfortunately, it was me rifling through drawers to try and find bank statements and records and so forth. It's not the nicest of jobs, especially when I don't know that family member, okay, or that person. So therefore, in a will, you name who you want to appoint, okay, as that trusted person. Okay, so that's what happened in this particular situation earlier on this week, is that this family member wanted us to do it, and that's okay, and we would happily support. But I think it's always nicer for a member of the family, okay, whether it be a sibling, a child if they're over 18, or a parent, or even a friend, who's going to be searching through the stuff, who's going to be organising a funeral and respecting your wishes when it comes to your funeral. Capable of filling out forms. because what you've got to remember is this person may be grieving. Who's going to be able to get the best price for the things? So if a car is being sold, or your paintings, or whatever it may be, who's going to be able to get the best price for those things for your beneficiaries? Okay. And of course, all doing that whilst they're grieving. So in a will, you'll be able to appoint those trusted people, someone that you trust to do that. And in a will, that's called an executor. And the last thing is if there is money. Okay, so if you are in a fortunate position where you have what's known as an estate, so some money to give when you pass away, without a will, those people that are listed at the top half of your screen will not have a chance to inherit. Okay, so if that's an unmarried partner, so if they're living with you, that unmarried partner could be made homeless. Okay. Any stepchildren, any friends, without a will, these people aren't part of the equation, unfortunately. English law does have a solution, okay, and that solution is called the rules of intestacy. One of the people on that list of possible heirs to your estate, if you don't have a will, is the Crown themselves, the government. Okay, as you can see on the screen, currently there are 8,334 estates in the UK that are on their way to the Crown. Okay, and in 2017 there was more than 2,800 just in Greater London alone. When they've estimated what that's going to be worth, that's £912 million just in Greater London in 1 year that is going to the government. Okay, but should there have been a will, okay, it would have gone to the rightful person. Okay. For those that are into TV, you might hear about air hunters. Ultimately, that's what air hunters does, is they cycle through those 8,334 estates in the hope they may find a family member, so it doesn't go to the Crown. There are two ways that you can leave a gift in a will, two main ways. The first is a monetary gift. Okay, so as you can see, that could be euros, it could be pounds, it could even be cryptocurrency, as you can see, this is coming through at the moment. So a specific amount of money, okay, a fixed amount of money. You can even give to charity, as you can see there. This is one of the things that we try to steer clear of. Okay, you can do it, and charities is normally the most common monetary gift. But the most common gift made in a will is what's known as a residuary gift. And the perks of a residuary gift is that is whatever you own at the time of your death. Okay, because your estate goes up and down and up and down. Obviously, hopefully it goes up, but it means that it deals with whatever you own then. Okay, so it could be 10% to your son, 15% shared between all the children, 10% to charity, for example. One of the good things about residuary gifts that are made to a charity is is that those gifts go tax-free. Okay, and if you give at least 10% to charity, it reduces any inheritance tax bill from 40% of the estate to 36%. Okay. And you get to choose, obviously, which charity you want to support. Of course, we're here for supporting the care workers charity today, so it would be great if we could support those. What does a gift to a charity look like? So when we're talking about the care workers charity, a £1,000 gift can give grants to 2 care workers around mobility aids in poor health. £5,000 could allow 25 care workers to become mental health first aiders to support their colleagues. £10,000 could make sure 25 care workers can get mattresses so they don't have to sleep on the floor. 20,000 can get 40 care workers 10 sessions of therapy, so they can stay supporting those who they care for. So your gift to a charity like care workers makes a huge impact. Okay, and you may not have the funds to do that now, but making a gift in a will could have that impact later on. Why would you want to do that? Well, first and foremost, it's a nice thing to do. It's nice to be able to give charity to charity. The amount you give to charity is not assessed for tax, so there's less money going to the taxman and more money going to a worthy cause. And like I mentioned, it reduces any tax charge from 40% to 36% if you give at least 10% of the estate. In exchange for that gift, we, Squiggle, have committed to doing a basic will, completely complimentary, okay? And that's for both yourself and your partner. We will protect the basics. So that's naming guardians for children, identifying those trusted people, and identifying the beneficiaries, okay, who's going to actually receive the money. And we'll do that completely free of charge. If you didn't want to do that, then perhaps just putting a plan of action together to protect those people, or even just helping you work out what taxes there is to pay, okay? We will cover the cost of that. That benefit is worth £375 if there's two of you, or £250 if it's just the one of you, okay? We do believe in holistic services. So what that means is we're happy to look at the entire family situation, okay, to make sure that writing a will isn't going to have any impacts, and it's always going to respect your wishes. So if a beneficiary remarries, if you pass away before your spouse, what about if one of your children has no will, makes the wrong type of will, or even changes their will after the first person's passed away? All these different eventualities could happen. So we'll make you aware in a consultation with that, we'll make you aware, and we'll be able to put a plan of action together, okay? So I'm going to share a short little video which hopefully put that into a little bit more perspective. Can you hear that okay? No, okay, I'll talk it through. So here we've got a married couple who plan to leave everything to each other, and then after that, down to their joint beneficiaries, okay? They make mirror wills so that the assets pass from one person to the other, okay? After that, if the surviving spouse was to remarry, the will would be revoked and the assets would be shared with a new partner. If the new partner was to have children, then the inheritance could be further diluted, okay? And as you can see, things could go out of the family. If the new partner survives longest, so if you pass away before the new partner, then the new partner's bloodline would inherit everything and your family could be completely disinherited. So these are the types of scenarios that we'll be able to go through and work out whether you would like to protect against those eventualities. So once we meet with yourself, we can do that either via Zoom, or preferably we'd love to come and meet with you in the comfort of your own home. There is no obligation to take out any planning at all. There's no obligation to give to charity, and there is no fee associated with that basic will, as I mentioned. We'll identify your concerns and your objectives and what you're looking to achieve from your planning. Well, as I mentioned earlier, one of our core values is about keeping things simple. So we'll explain in a very jargon-free way in plain English, make some recommendations based on what you've said is important to you and not important. And then you decide what's best for you. It's not for us to decide what's most important to you. It's for you guys to do that. So you decide which level of planning. And like I say, we'll give you the very basics free of charge, which is worth £250 for a single person or £375 for a couple. If you do decide to look at something a little bit more complex, then we'll reduce the price of that planning by those amounts of money. Okay, so you still get your benefit of being part of the Care Workers charity. So in summary, book your consultation is the first step. Meet with a consultant of ours, explain your wishes, discuss what we call the what ifs in life, those different scenarios that could impact your wishes. Okay. And then of course, complete your planning. We'll help you with that. Okay. So is there, managed to look at the chat box, but if there is any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or unmute and tell us what your questions are.
Hi, Kieran, it's Derek here.
Hello.
Yeah, I might as well ask questions out direct if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, we're in a position where we've got call it a vulnerable person, and we're looking at trying to take some steps to cover eventualities. And we've been sort of told that we would need to look at setting up a trust. So is that something that goes beyond, becomes more complicated? Is that something that's you just sort of discuss within the planning meeting?
Yeah, that's exactly something that we would discuss. So that's what we call one of the what ifs. What if you've got a vulnerable beneficiary? Okay. And we would therefore look at setting up some sort of trust. It is a little bit more comprehensive than basic planning, but we would reduce the cost of that trust by £250 to make that a little bit more affordable for you. What that trust will then do is either now or later, once you've passed away, protect the assets of that vulnerable person that you've passed your assets down to.
Okay, and that's is it too early at this stage to say what the cost might be for having such a thing created?
So it really depends on the situation and what exactly you're looking to achieve. There's two main types of trust that we would look at. Okay, there's one what's called a will trust, which means a trust that is built once you've passed away. Okay, so no trust actually exists yet. It only comes into existence when you pass away. That's around the £500 mark. And like I say, that reduces by £250 if we were to apply your discount. If you were to look at what we call a lifetime trust, okay, clues in the title, we build that trust now. So you can actually put money into it now, okay, to be protected for that vulnerable beneficiary. But you're looking at about £3,000 for those kind of trusts. Okay.
Okay.
But it would be a case of sitting down and working out which one's the more appropriate one for yourself. Okay, and discuss that during a consultation. And to meet with us, it's completely free of charge.
Okay, thank you.
One thing I did want to mention, because I know that we've got some care people in the industry watching this and yourselves, is that we could potentially extend this to your own organisation. So if you are working in a care home yourself, okay, or owner, we are able to offer the complementary wills to your entire organisation potentially. It'd be something that we would be happy to have a chat with and discuss. Okay.
Kieran, just on that note, I was talking to a couple of colleagues that work in the care setting, and they were asking me what the difference was between a Squiggle written will and a will that maybe a union representative would make. Could you elaborate on that?
Sure. This is one of the things that I feel really, really precious about, is there are a lot of organisations like unions that are offering complementary wills for their organisations. And this is one of the things that I'm obviously naturally trying to do, but do in a different way, okay, a very holistic way. A lot of the unions are doing it for the same purpose of adding value to employees, but it's from an affordability point of view, they have to do it in a form. Okay, so what happens, the unions normally send out a form to the employee, okay, for them to fill in. Yep, I want these trusted people, these beneficiaries, these guardians, sign it, send it back, and then 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, you'll get a will for you to sign, hopefully, and that's about it, which is great. It's a step in the right direction, okay, but it's kind of half the job. So one of the things that we would do is we would meet with you and discuss what a will won't do, which a lot of people aren't aware of. So it's about, like in that video that I that illustration I showed you a little while ago, is about keeping it in the bloodline. Okay, a form that you fill in doesn't tell you that. Okay, because a form can't talk back and understand your wishes and your dreams and your aspirations. Okay. Secondly, the one that I find really important is once the will's drafted, say it has been drafted correctly, a form is only a legal document is only valid once it's been signed correctly. Okay, which we've seen some DIY wills or some wills that have been done by these forms that haven't been executed correctly, and then it's not worth the paper it's written on. Okay, and the only time that you find out whether it's working or not is when you're dead. Okay, and then it's too late to get it fixed. Okay, so it's great. They could work, but my view is why risk it? Okay, so let's have a chat and we'll see it right through to the end until we have a fully executed will.
Amazing. Thank you, Kieran. That's really sensible.
No problem. Any more questions at all?
Yeah, sorry, it's Derek again. I just maybe a quick question, might help other people as well. But you say that you prefer to come out to meet people in their own homes, and no doubt we're far spread across the country. But is that literally an offer that you're making? I mean, not knowing where you're based or where I'm based, it's as simple as you've either got people out there or you feel that you can cover the whole country. Well, I'm in the Midlands. I've got a Yorkshire accent, but I'm in the Midlands, so I'm quite central. But for other people, it might be, well, I'm in Scotland. You want to come and spend the day in Scotland to give me some free advice? I don't know.
It's a case of understanding where you are first and foremost. Okay, we are in a position that we haven't got the entire country covered at the moment. Okay, but it is the plan that we've got, and probably Phil will be able to help on this a little bit more. A lot of the south covered, if not all of the south, maybe, and we're moving up as such. So it would just be a case of working out whether we've got a consultant close to you. If we don't, then we would look at doing Zoom. Okay, does that answer your question?
So yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
I'll speak to probably Phil later and just say, yeah, I'm in the Midlands. Is it something an area you could cover?
Not a problem, Derek. I've got your email address, so I can respond to you via email and let you know where our nearest one is.
Perfect.
And then we can work from there.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. So just moving on, there is a slide here about supporting the Care Workers charity. So I think that's Victoria.
Yeah, just it's a summary slide. If you would like more information, please feel free to scan the QR code or just reach out to me via email. All of the presentation will be shared with everybody that's attending, so you'll be able to access that. But wanted to thank both Kieran, you and Phil, and the organisation for championing people writing a will. It's so incredibly important, and thank you for having the opportunity to suggest putting us within that as a beneficiary. So thank you.
No problem.
So there you have our QR code as well. If you've got a device that will allow you to scan that QR code, that will actually take you straight through to our what we call search facility, where basically you can put the first part of your postcode in there, and it will allow you to find out where your nearest consultant is. So if there's one in your area that's in your postcode area that can come to you, that will be able to allow you to find that. Failing that, you can always give us a ring on that phone number there, or drop us an email, and we can point that out to you as well. And as Kieran's said right throughout, if we've got a consultant in your area, then we can come to you and hold it in the comfort of your own home, or we can do it on Zoom. And we put this little slide together at the end because, you know, we care because you care. And whether you're in the care industry or you've got family or friends in the care industry, you know, Care Workers Charity, having worked with Victoria in the setting up of this presentation, really hearing about the great work they're doing, it's, you know, it was an absolute pleasure for us to get involved and try and help them plan for their future as well. On a previous slide, it mentioned that we're doing another one of these webinars on Thursday, the 22nd of February. So if you're able to join us, or you know of people that would have joined us today, potentially, we're going to be sending this recording out to those of you that are here. But failing that, we will be doing another one of these webinars, same time, 1 o'clock on Thursday, the 22nd of February. But I'd like to thank you all for coming today.
Okay, cheers.
Thank you,
I'll leave
everyone.
you now.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All the best.